Hello everyone and welcome back to the EDH Jank Center, your source for everything Commander and everything Jank. I'm your host, Jordan or Prairies, you can call me either, and today, as we near the end of 2022, I am in a very reflective mood. That rhymed, but I don't want to waste any more time. In this video, I'd like to go over some of my favorite things from Magic the Gathering that came out this year. So strap in, folks, for 2022, an MTG Retrospective. And this, my friends, is a list of all the categories that we have to cover today. Let's get right into it. Our first category today is favorite budget card. Now, this is a rich, deep pool to select from, but I have chosen two blue cards that I think are fantastic. They are Combat Research and Security Bypass. Combat Research is 1 blue mana enchantment aura from Dominaria United. It says enchant creature. Enchanted creature has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. As long as enchanted creature is legendary, it gets +1/+1 and has ward 1, which means whenever enchanted creature becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 1. And yeah, this is just so good. I've already gone over this card in my 10 cards you might have missed from Dominaria United. You can watch that right here. But it's good enough to make this list too, because any commander that runs blue, you gotta run this card. In terms of protection for your commander on a budget, I think this is unbelievably good. This thing is cheaper than friggin' Swiftfoot boots. Get out of here, dude. And on top of that, it synergizes with enchantment synergies if that's your vibe. If your commander is combat focused, you can start drawing cards off of it, and it buffs it, and it gives it ward 1. And coming in at only 28 cents, this is an EDH Jank Center staple, baby. But in terms of price, this next card is even better. It's Security Bypass. 1 in a blue enchantment aura from Streets of New Capenna. Enchant creature. As long as enchanted creature is attacking alone, it can't be blocked. Enchanted creature has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, it connives. Its controller draws a card, then discards a card. If they discard a non-land card, they put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. This was my second selection for best budget card of the year because I just really love how much it enables a mono blue Voltron strategy, which is already a kind of janky, underutilized strategy, so it's very on brand for what we're doing here. I mean, yeah, this card in a Voltron strategy speaks for its freaking self, dude. It gives a Voltron creature unblockable, it buffs it with +1/+1 counters. We ignore that part, but Connive puts +1/+1 counters on cards. So even if Security Bypass gets removed, the counters stay. On top of that, if you're combining this with Combat Research, you're drawing tons of cards, and coming in at 6 cents, it makes the value here unbeatable in my opinion, and is why it earns its place in my year-end list. All right, coming up next is my favorite expensive card of the year. Now, the stipulation was it had to be over $5, and I found the perfect one. Ancient Copper Dragon, 4 red creature Elder Dragon from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. It has flying. Whenever Ancient Copper Dragon deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20, you create a number of treasure tokens equal to the result, and it's a 6/5. Man. All the Elder Dragons from this set just embody the spirit of Commander to me. Big, chunky creatures making splashy plays, dealing tons of damage, big mana, which is what this little cutie specializes in. So basically, mathematically, you get this in for damage only 1 time and it's already getting you incredible value. I believe if I do my math right, when you roll a d20, you basically have a 75% chance of rolling a 5 or higher. That means more than half the time you're doing this ability, you're getting 5 or more treasure tokens out of it. Add on top of that the fact that this creature is non-legendary, so you can make copies of it? Come on, dude. And this definitely is a very expensive card, so if someone wants to get me this as a New Year's present, I wouldn't complain. Anyways, moving on to my favorite overall card of the year. It's Baloth Baratil Entertainer, 4 in a red legendary creature Elf Shaman from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Creatures your opponents control with power less than Baloth Baratil's power are goaded. They attack each combat if able and attack a player other than you if able. Whenever a goaded attacking or blocking creature dies, you create a treasure token. Choose a background. You can have a background as a second commander, and he's a 2/5. Now, if you've watched my channel from the very beginning, you know how much I have sung the praises of this card. This is the perfect force combat commander in my opinion, and for multiple reasons. First of all, the versatility of being able to pair him with any background puts him in a very unique position. Want to do Izzet force combat? What about Groll? What about Rakdos? Even Boros? Even mono red force combat? The world is your oyster with Baloth at the helm. Then on top of that, he gets you value whenever a goaded attacking or blocking creature dies. He's just making you free mana. And thirdly, with Baloth, you're gonna want to play into buffing up his power. Obviously, the more more power he has, the more creatures that get goated. And this inherent Voltron strategy is what makes this the perfect forced combat commander. Because what's the biggest weakness of forced combat? When a forced combat deck is eventually 1v1 with another player and can't find a way to finish them out. But that's why having Baloth equipped with a bunch of dope equipment, auras, +1/+1 counters, whatever you want to do, it allows you to have a finisher. And another reason why it's my personal favorite overall card from 2022 is I ended up building this deck. It made Boros actually very fun for me to play. Boros was one of my least favorite color combos until I paired this with Noble Heritage. You can watch that video right here. It was one of my first ones. And honestly, more than anything else, every time I have played this card, I have had so much fun, and that's what makes it my favorite overall card of the year. All right, coming up, we got a very specific distinction. It's favorite commander of the year. And for the front runner of this category, I had to go with Jetmir, Nexus of Revels. Jetmir reads as follows. 1 red, green, white, legendary creature, cat demon from Streets of New Capenna. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and have vigilance as long as you control 3 or more creatures. Creatures you control also get +1/+0 and have trample as long as you control 6 or more creatures. Creatures you control also get +1/+0 and have double strike as long as you control 9 or more creatures, and he's a 5/4. So first of all, listen, I'm a token guy. This is a great token commander. I'm probably gonna build it. There's lots of really amazing Spellslinger builds that people have been doing with this, where people cast and create copies of stuff like Raise the Alarm, for example. So I think that's really cool, but more importantly, this is the first ever Italian friggin' commander, dude. Jetmir in New Capenna is the head of the Cabaretti, so Cabaretti, Italian last name, let's get it. The Cabaretti love food, drink, and revelry, so do Italians. And its color identity is red, green, and white, the colors of the Italian flag. I mean, it's all right there. And I know it's kind of a shallow reason to include a commander on the list, but I mean, I've been joking about this with my friends for a minute, and they finally did it. It just makes me so happy, and that's what makes it my favorite commander that came out this year. And that, my friends, brings us to our next category, which is favorite set, and we're actually sticking with Jetmir's world. I gotta go with Streets of New Capenna. This set came out in April, I believe, and captivated me and so many others. This set was arguably one of the most unique planes Magic has ever visited. From the flavor, to the references, to the artwork, to the fact that there are so many good commander cards in this set is just number one for me. It's gotta be. No other set even came close to capturing my imagination the way this did. The world building is just too good to ignore, which is actually a perfect segue into our next category, which is favorite flavor text, which has to be awarded to Patch Up, 2 and a white sorcery from Streets of New Capenna. Return up to 3 target creature cards with total mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And I'll go ahead and just read you this flavor text so you can catch the vibe. Don't tell me who sent you or who you work for. The less I know, the better. I mean, yeah. I think I would watch a TV show about this. That should tell you all you need to know. It fully immerses me in the world. The artwork is incredible. The 3-dimensional aspect of it really engages the eye. And on top of that, it's also a pretty decent card. Like, what's there not to love? All right, and we've reached our last category of the day. But before we get into it, guys, if you really enjoyed this content, if you've enjoyed my content over this year, consider joining the Patreon. We've got lots of cool benefits for patrons, including a patron-only Discord that starts at the lowest tier of my Patreon. I've made it accessible to everyone. We've got lots of cool people in there, lots of dope discussions about cards, sets, spoilers, deck techs. So if that sounds appealing to you, make sure you check out that link in the description. All your support helps me make more content for you guys. Anyways, moving on to my favorite art of the year. It's When We Were Young, 3 and a white instant from Neon Dynasty Kamigawa. Up to 2 target creatures each get +2/+2 until end of turn. If you control an artifact and an enchantment, those creatures also gain lifelink until end of turn, but we don't care about that. It's this artwork that really captivated me. I will read the flavor text as well because this makes the art even more potent in my opinion. Since Imperial custom strictly forbade the Emperor to reveal her name, even to Kaito, her closest childhood friend, she had to suffer him calling her your emperorness for much of their shared youth. And props to Eric Deschamps for creating this artwork that really does capture the idea of shared youth. This piece is spectacularly done. The nostalgia that it evokes. I mean, I'm no art critic, but my God. When I first opened this in a pack, I almost cried. And that's because I think this piece does such a great job of evoking that feeling of being a kid and you aren't yet burdened with the weight of the world. Beautiful piece, beautifully done. Let's move on to our honorable mentions. First honorable mention goes to the Kamigawa equipment creatures for their utility and uniqueness. Next, we have the alternate arts from every set, but mostly Neon Dynasty Kamigawa for the vibe. And the last honorable mention goes to the commander and background pairings from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. I love the mix and match aspect of it, and it provides for so many creative builds. All right, guys, we made it to the end of the video, but before we go, I just have some closing thoughts and feelings. While there has been a lot of valid complaints about product oversaturation and overpriced products, this game still brings people together, explores really cool worlds, senses, activates the imagination, and remains one of the most fun games in the world. Remember, you get to define the experience you have. It's all about outlook and mindset. This year was the year I started making videos for this channel, and I have been so blown away by the enthusiasm and warm welcome you guys have shown me. Thank you all so much for your support, especially my patrons. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you guys watching my content. It really means the world to me, and let's get it in the new year. I'll see you guys then.